Good evening. It is a Sunday evening, and it's time for another episode of $5 in the World. It's a book project I've been working on now for almost a year, and every week I add another chapter, and usually they're almost forms of outlines. These I don't think are the finished chapters, but these are the outlines of what I want to talk about. I have plans for expanding each of them based on the feedback I've gotten and some other thoughts I've had. And that all said, I do hope to have something in book form before the end of 2026, right? Hopefully, first half. And this chapter is about three expressions Dad said be really careful about. The way he put it is you should only say them once, if you even say them at all. And I want to talk about it today. I'm going to read this chapter. It's called Think Twice. And I want to see what you think of it, as always. Just feel free to join the YouTube channel, or you can watch it even if you're not a subscriber. It's a free subscription, so no big deal to do that. And I hope you do. And just comment, like, share it. Um, let other people check it out. I really want to have this expanded in a way so I really know if this, I'm doing this either way, but if I would love to think that it would help other people if it was out there in the general domain. So, because my dad had such an interesting way of looking at the world, such an interesting way to live, and a long time to test the concept. He lived to be 101, and I never really saw him waver from any of these things that I talk about here on this channel. And those who know him or knew him would agree with me on that. He was full of integrity, and he was consistent, and he was fun, and he was hilarious, and he was very bright, and he was wise, and he was human. He had, he would make his mistakes. Not everything he decided to do worked out the way he wanted it to, but he never felt defeated by any of it. um, and and he just would go on to the next thing, learn the lessons, do the next thing. So this one I want to just read. It's a shorter one because I'd like to say it needs some expansion next in the next draft. But I like this. I just want to get this concept down as something to consider. So follow along with me. Let me know what you think of it. It's called Think Twice. My dad warned us about the pitfalls of an uncontrolled temper. He had been around long enough to know that things said in the heat of a moment can cause hurt, result in career damage, and even end relationships. He knew how tempting it was to cut down somebody in an argument. It was almost intoxicating to unleash on somebody in righteous indignation. If you can think quickly, as Dad could, the barbs and insults come to mind readily and in real time. If he wasn't consciously trying to control what he said, he knew he could say something hurtful, and the feeling of what is said doesn't go away easily. I think this is one of the reasons he learned to call a truce or step away from a discussion that was swerving off topic and into personal feelings and ego. The closer the relationship, the more important it is to keep the tongue under control. Our closest relationship is with a spouse or life partner. Another critical relationship involves our careers. Typically, most of us either work for somebody or we employ somebody. It is not unusual to hold both roles in a company, employed by the company while possessing authority over some of the employees. These three relationships have so much invested in them. When they are going well, we enjoy a sense of fulfillment. When they are not going well, anger and frustration, even resentment, can enter into our lives. We are wired with what physiologists call the fight or flight response. When we feel threatened, our impulse is to either leave the situation or fight the perceived threat. A lot of our fighting in modern settings is verbal. When we feel hurt or threatened at home or at work, we need to process what we are experiencing before we react to it. Dad was a big believer in thinking before speaking. Let the pause between thought and speech help moderate what comes next. When I'm really angry about an issue, proportionality and perspective are critical and also difficult to grasp. Consciously pausing, taking a breather, getting sorted are the ways to reduce the likelihood of saying something I will regret later. He told us that there were three things you should only say once. Those were, I want a divorce, I quit, you're fired. To Dad, these three sentences were like the nuclear option. Once you say it, there's no real recovery. The idea of it won't leave your mind, and the threat never leaves the mind of the person who hears it. These expressions should not be used for leverage or as a tactic. If the thought crosses your mind to end one of these critical relationships, deal with the idea. Is it how you really think, or is it just frustration or anger? If there are issues severe enough to make the thought of ending a relationship viable, those issues should be contended with in order to see if there is a healthy resolution. He would say that if I was thinking about, say, ending a relationship at a job or letting somebody go or whatever, his expression, kill it or cure it, came into play. Don't sit and stew about it. Don't sit and stew about a job, an employee, or a partner. Resolve the matter or make a rational plan for leaving the situation. Throwing out threats of ending a relationship is corrosive, inevitably weakens the relationship, if not end it. Admitting dissatisfaction and working on remedying the rift can lead to a stronger relationship. He saw so many careers derailed by the threats of firing or quitting. He saw marriages further damaged by throwing around divorce talk. These are deadly serious solutions, and there are times when they are the right solution. He left jobs and fired people in his lifetime. He just always hoped that he made those decisions for the right reasons and with the right approach. When we hold a high regard for the other person, we are less inclined to resort to threats. Words are powerful, and we should choose them wisely, and some we should use very carefully. Say what you mean and mean what you say, and it will go well for you. Value the relationships you have enough to not threaten them as a tactic or in a fit of rage. This is what I've got for Think Twice. What are your thoughts on that? Again, he was clear. He wasn't saying you never quit a job or you never fire somebody or you never leave a relationship. That's unwise too. But what he did say, and what I agree with him about, is those are important relationships. They deserve to be treated seriously. And if you're just threatening somebody to get a rise out of them or to get some leverage in a negotiation or whatever, or to intimidate or exploit somebody, your partner, to do something or not do something, that's bad faith. It's unhealthy. It's corrosive and it lacks integrity. Um, but again, sitting there and wishing you could quit or wishing you fired the guy or person and not doing it, that's corrosive in a different way. Resolution matters. If you start seeing how these chapters, these ideas Dad had, kind of are interconnect or interwoven. Like if you're thinking about doing something, kill it or cure it. Make the resolution. Either make it better or get out of it. Either improve it or stop doing it. Or start doing something. If you don't like, gain that new habit. Start going to that gym. Start that diet. Whatever it is. Change that job. Get rid of that employee. Um, get it, stop dating that person, whatever it is, but make sure it's for the right reasons. And when you do come to that resolution, if it is really time after consideration and prayer, if you're a believer, to make a change, then do it the right way. Do it with respect. Do it with regard for the other person. Have some empathy. My dad used to say, even when it's the right thing to do, even when firing the other person is the right thing to do, you're still going to feel bad about it. He said, if you don't feel bad about it, there's something wrong with you. And I have been in a position where I've made that decision. I have fired people in my career, and even when they, so to speak, deserved it, even when it was the right call for the good of the company or whatever, it still feels bad. I mean, it's a game changer. It doesn't end anyone's life, but it does disrupt it. Breaking up with somebody, even when it's the right thing to do, it's not easy. The right thing to do isn't always the easy thing to do. I think one of the bad lessons we're getting in modern psychology, or at least modern, and even in the education field, is you know obstacles, difficulty. If it doesn't feel good, then don't do it. Sometimes the right thing is the hard thing, and the right thing doesn't always feel good, even though it is right. Um, that's why the mind and the feelings have to work together. Too often we give preponderance of one over the other, um, and that's a mistake. That's an alignment thing. Think it, feel it, do it. And these decisions about keep a job or not. I've talked through people. I've been at that crossroads before. We all have. Do I really want to keep this job? Is there something wrong with it? Should I quit? Should I stay? Um, really contend with it, wrestle with it. It's worth it. Same thing with a relationship. Should we get engaged? Should we get married? Should we stay married? These are huge life-changing decisions, and they shouldn't be taken lightly, and they shouldn't be thrown around one way or the other. Um, if those thoughts are rattling around, if there's dissatisfaction, if there's alienation, figure out what it is, and then have that conversation. Don't have both sides of the conversation in your own head. Too often, we try to resolve these conflicts with another person by ourselves. And that's usually not the smart play, right? The other person has a say. The other person has their own thoughts, feelings, emotions, and attitudes, and they need to be taken into account. They're half the equation. And thinking we know what they want, thinking we know what their motive is, thinking we know how they're going to react when we say what we want to say. This stuff is all hubris. It's ego. Um, it's certainly ignorant to think we could know those things about another person. Now, we can anticipate and we might have a fairly educated guess about all that, but until we actually go ahead and have the courage to wade into that conversation, we won't know for sure. And because you have to do it to find out. And an important relationship, it's worth the risk, it's worth the energy, it's worth the effort, it's worth but come with it with assertiveness and humility. You know, comfortable knowing what you believe and why you believe it, but also open to the possibility that they know what they believe and why they believe that too, and there might be something you can learn from them. There might be some change required from me to make it right. Usually that is the case. Usually we get together on something, whether it's an employee, an employer, or Kathy, or another important relationship in my life, like with our kids or a friend. And once we have an honest exchange, we might find out, you know what, you got to change some stuff. I got to change some stuff. And that's what I meant by saying if we wade into the issues that get us to think quitting is the answer, or ending it's the answer, before we come to that conclusion and explore these other possibilities, we might be fighting an issue that doesn't even exist. It's just all that we've made it up. We've jumped to the wrong conclusion. Value them enough to risk the emotional vulnerability. Vulnerability is actually strength. And again, as a believer, if our identity in Christ is sound and secure, then I'm really not. I'm vulnerable, but I'm not going to be hurt in a foundational way. I have the one, I have that one true relationship, and all the rest of them are made stronger by it. But I don't have to have my identity wrapped up in these other relationships. I can be invested in them, and they matter to me a great deal. But I can deal with them honestly then. And anything, the important relationships are worth taking that taking that dive into the having that hard conversation, having the difficult conversations before you jump to a resolution that might not be necessary. So that's my thoughts on it. I think I've never forgotten that lesson, and I still live by it. I remember when Emily, our daughter, made her most recent career change. We talked at length about the source of the job she left, the source of dissatisfaction, or what it was, and was it the job, or was it her mood, or an attitude, or was it a specific issue, a general issue? Was it really the culture, or was it? And she took the time to sort all that out, so she wasn't just reacting to a bad day. It was a sincere, thoughtful, and deep dive into what matters, what her values and her principles were, and how did they align or not with the career she was in. And ultimately, she decided that there was not an alignment, and the alignment wasn't achievable. And she left on good terms. She left with dignity, and with the mutual respect between her and her colleague. And a lot of them are still associates and even friends to this very day. That's what I meant by saying make sure you make the decision right. And when you do it the right way, as much as you are able. The Apostle Paul says in one of his letters, as far as it's up to you, deal peacefully with others. So that's my thoughts on thinking twice, on those three essential issues. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope it's helpful. I wonder what your thoughts are on this. Have you ever thrown those out in a fit of pique and had them kind of hanging there and then not do it? And what was that like? I'd like to hear about it. You can put it in the comments or you can message me. I'd like to hear, how did you work through saying those things and then not doing them? And because I think that would be helpful to know. All right. Thanks again for listening. Please share it. Invite friends or others to check it out. Pass it along. Let's see if we can grow our community and $5 in the world. Thanks again. See you next week.